Welcome to the Dynasty Effect, where the legacy of the Clash of Dynasties docuseries doesn't end, but continues.
So let's get into it.
We dive deeper into the ripple effect this rivalry created across the wrestling world, from youth clubs to high school, NCAA powerhouses, the Olympics, professional wrestling, and beyond.
Is a great story.
We talk to coaches, athletes, and legends whose paths were shaped by these two dynasties.
It's a who's who. It's a list of NCAA champions, champion MMA fighters, coaches, decorated individuals, champions in life. I mean, it's all across the board.
And through candid conversations and the behind-the-scenes stories, we examine how they continue to influence the sport today.
This is a podcast that puts it all together, you know?
This is the Dynasty Effect. Welcome to the Dynasty Effect podcast, where we continue the storytelling from the Clash of Dynasties docuseries. I'm director and producer Ben Hatta, and with me is fellow producer, director of Serve Centric, a cast member, and from Walsh Jesuit, Frank Favaro. Frank, how are you?
Doing good, man. How you doing?
I'm doing great. And finally, we're joined by producer, investor, and CEO of OEM Interactive and Pennsylvania wrestler Aaron Waters. Welcome, guys.
What's happening?
How's it going?
Great. Super pumped about our first episode here. And man, guys, this is awesome. And we've got a doozy for everybody today, right?
Oh, we've got the best. I mean,
Yeah.
this is pro wrestling of all in the mouth of the South, you know,
Yeah.
of wrestling, you know, and I think
Jimmy Hart.
the hit man, he could be. He's got a strong name. But I think it's poignant, you know, that we kicked off our Clash of Dynasties premiere about a year ago and in Ohio. And we had an MC come out and host those. And it was unbelievable. The fact that, you know, he showed up, and I know it's a big wrestling season for him coming up. So anything else you want to say before we jump into it?
No, I mean, I'm super pumped. Like I said, this is going to be a great episode to kick us off, and you know, we're just so honored and grateful to have him here with us again today.
And if y'all don't know who we're talking about, we've got the great Shane Sparks, who is, you know, none other than the voice of NCAA wrestling, FloWrestling, ESPN's Big Ten Network. You know, again, he was also the host of our Clash of Dynasties premieres in Ohio. And, you know, everyone, we'd please like to welcome to our podcast, The Dynasty Effect. Please welcome
the one and only Shane Sparks, folks. He's from the state of Wisconsin, and his name is Shane Sparks.
Shane Sparks.
Shane Sparks is here as promised.
He is the voice of the Big Ten Wrestling Network.
Shane Sparks, Big Ten Network Wrestling. Super excited.
Who better to break this down for us than Shane Sparks? And the answer, of course, is nobody.
After a scoreless first period, Vanessa took a 2-0 lead. After that, it was all Rich Lovitz that majored a second for the Cornhusker.
When people don't understand how hard it is to win at this level.
There is no easier job in the world than just winding Shane Sparks up and letting him go. So much wrestling knowledge. Obviously, the bar is really, really high.
You can smell the wrestling. Wrestling is important here. This is going to be awesome. Let's go.
Absolutely.
Welcome, Shane. How are you, sir?
I am doing fantastic. That was the best intro I've ever had. I am honored. I am humbled to be here. You guys did a phenomenal job on Clash of Dynasties. I can't believe it's been almost a year since we had the premiere in Cleveland, but I am fired up. I'm already in a full lather. I'm already in a hard hand fight, collar tie off the whistle, taking territory, pressure forward. I'm in on the legs. Quick. Great to see you guys.
Let's go.
Great to see you. And
good to
just
see
to
you.
catch everybody up, obviously you can see how enthusiastic Shane is. He's always wanted to be a broadcaster, even as a kid. You know, he knew that he wanted to do this. He had a master plan, you know, to go on to broadcasting school, but things didn't always turn out the way they were. So he ended up working at selling cars, but made a pivot one day. And Shane, talk to us about that, you know, when faced with what you thought was a dream, and, you know, sometimes it gets derailed or you have to take another path that way. You know, talk to us about that.
Yeah, I think at its core, ultimately, it's about making really good decisions in critical times. I didn't always do that, and things become blessings. When I was 19, I got my girlfriend at the time pregnant, was going to be a dad. So I was a dad at 20 years old. Austin, who's almost 30 now, he's awesome, super proud of him. But it definitely was, I would say the analogy is you can still win, and looking big picture at what my goals and what I wanted to do. But it was kind of like falling behind Kyle Dake 7-0 in the first period. Like I wouldn't suggest it. Like you can still win. I mean, you got to be thinking about that escape, getting a takedown, get back in the match. But I think that's a really good analogy. I mean, I think that's kind of what it was. I mean, back was against the wall, had to figure things out, and I was selling cars. Somebody told me once, he said, you should sell cars. I go, I don't know anything about cars. To this day, guys, I'm embarrassed. I couldn't change a tire to save my life. I couldn't change my oil to save my life. I can put gas in, and that's about as high as my limitations reach. But he said, you'd be good at it. And I wish I remember who the guy was. It was back in like probably 1996, he said this. I didn't ultimately sell cars until 2001, but did it for 6 months. I was the number one guy all 6 months I was there. I was the only name on the plaque for Salesman of the Month. So I just like the competing aspect of it. But there was one day, it was a Thursday, and I remember it was a long day, but I sold like 3 or 4 cars. So financially, I probably made $4,000. This is back in would have been May of 2001. And I got in my car and I looked at the mirror, and I talk to myself all the time to this day. I talk to myself all the time. So I took the mirror, slanted it toward me, and I just looked in the mirror. I said, Shane, you sold 3 cars today. You made $4,000 and you are miserable. So next day I was like, I got to do this. I just, got on the internet and went to a place in Arizona, and then fast forward that next April would have been April of 2002. I got a job at a radio station. I was making $6 an hour, donating plasma to pay for the gas. I sold stuff. I had a 1988 Plymouth Grand Fury, this big boat of a car, no air conditioning, and I was driving to a Brewer game to do some stuff at this Brewer game. They were playing the White Sox, I remember, and I just remember looking in the mirror again. I was pouring sweat, no air conditioning, and I'm like, hey, you're making $6 an hour. You are going to, cover this Brewer game. You got, you're sleeping in cars and all this other stuff, and you love it. Like, it was just one of those moments, like, this is exactly what you wanted to do. So just really humbled and grateful. God's grace has been, I can't explain it. I mean, that's just what it is. So, and that doesn't get lost on me. This stuff too, it can all be gone tomorrow. I think that's another thing, whether it's, your job, your relationships, your wrestling, whatever it might be. I think it's really important to never get too comfortable. Like, everybody's replaceable. I mean, I love what I do, but the reality is if Big Ten wrestling comes on or anything else, people are going to watch it. I mean, that's just, the show goes on, and the way it is. But that's something I remind myself of all the time. Like, I get to do this. And it's probably not going to last forever. So I'm enjoying the ride.
Love it. And Shane, you brought up a couple things here. You talked about blessings and gifts from God, right? And we've got 4 of us here that all went to faith-based schools, faith-based high schools. With Ben at St. Ed's and Frank at Walsh. And I went to Erie Cathedral Prep in Pennsylvania, go Ramblers, and yourself at Winnebago Lutheran Academy. Can you tell us about like that experience there? And obviously, there had to been some of those core teachings and stuff that were instilled in you there during that time that have helped shape you into the person that you are today. So I'd love to hear a little bit about that.
Yeah, no question about it. It was one of the best experiences of my life. Definitely one of the most impactful experiences in my life for us. Going to school there. I mean, I was always raised going to church. Credit mainly my mother for that, which was great. But getting to hear God's word every day, I mean, it was critical. I try to do it now as much as I can, but if I'm being honest, you fall short, you get busy. stuff like that. But that's what it's about. That is just my core. God's been so good to me. You could never, I could tell you stories where it's like so many things have happened. Like there is just no way this stuff is coincidence. There's no way. I don't have like 2 or 3 of those stories. I probably could give you 50 of them. Yep. So, I can't wait to, someday get to heaven and just ask Jesus, like, why were you so good to me? Because I'm just so blessed. I beyond grateful, but that was really big. That was a really big, especially being, younger, I was in high school. So that age, being pretty impressionable. And, again, I fail them often. It's one of those things where, it's every day you fail, you fall short, but, we got a savior that died for us to save our sins. And that means everything to me for sure.
Shane, I want to ask you real fast about going back to when you were selling cars and you were looking in the rearview mirror and you were driving away and you made $4,000 that day, but you were still unfulfilled in that moment. Tell me about the courage that it had to take, though, to leave that and go find what you were after, to really go find purpose in what you were doing. How did you do that?
I think, honestly, Frank, it's about being delusional. It's about being delusional. I've told this story many times. I've told it a million times. I'll tell you guys this quick story. I talked about my mom and my dad. It starts at home. Like now that I'm older, I'll be 50 years old in a couple of weeks. Like I got just such a different perspective on how things work. My mom and my dad were fantastic. I could not have been blessed with 2 better parents. No way. And I went to a baseball game. It was July 1st, 1987, I believe was the date. It was a Wednesday afternoon, Milwaukee County Stadium in Milwaukee. And I love baseball. Baseball was that was my first real love. I just love baseball, love the broadcasting aspect of it. And I wanted to be a broadcaster, as you guys said, since I was, as long as I can remember, 9 years old, I would say. Probably when I realized I wasn't going to be a Major League Baseball player is probably when that clicked in. But we went to this game, and I do this to this day. This goes back to 1987. I was sitting there looking at the stadium, and I'm a pretty emotional, passionate, intense guy. And I was when I was younger too. So I'm 11 years old, and I'm looking at the stadium, and I get a little emotional. And my mom looks at me, and she goes, everything okay? And I go, yeah. I said, I'm gonna broadcast at these places someday. And she looked at me very matter-of-factly and said, yeah, that's what you're going to do. And that was incredible. That I didn't realize the impact of that quite at that time. Self-belief. It's what I talk about like in wrestling matches too. You got to believe in yourself. You got to be delusional. Somebody's got to do it. Then you got to do it. Like it's almost like, hey, these Dodgers just won a World Series. Like so-and-so's making, $50 million a year. Well, go do it then. Don't go do it. You can do it too if you want. You know what I mean? Like you just got to be a little bit delusional, but I had a very strong support system at home growing up. That was everything. That's where it started, that foundation. And then I think I like to hustle. I like the hustle. So that helped me too. But as much as anything, being a little bit delusional, I think is really important. You got to work with your mind a little bit. And don't get me wrong, to this day, I'll be on broadcast and I might not have I always talk about I might not feel like I have my fastball. Like I just don't feel like I have it for whatever reason. And, that maybe creates some self-doubt. We all deal with it. And you got to try to overcome it. You learn things through that process, but it's a fun ride. It is a fun ride, but yeah, it took some courage, but again, I had a lot of people helping me too. Like I just had people in the right places in my life at the right time that made all the difference in the world. And you'll never hear me say otherwise. I wouldn't be here without an army of people.
We'll talk about that too. You started broadcasting in sports radio in high school, radio show weekly in Wisconsin before. It was 9 years before you got the call to the big leagues, as we would say,
Yep.
And what was it like to, we're talking about Dynasties, ESPN, is the dynasty of sports entertainment, right? And you get a call from ESPN to say, we want you to broadcast a match that's going to be on our station. You know, two things. What was it like it took you years to grind that out before you got that call. Did you ever think about giving up, and what kept you going? And then what was your reaction when you got that call, that, hey, you're going to be on ESPN?
Yeah, I never doubted it. I never doubted it. I mean, I had a really good friend of mine once. We were at the Wisconsin State wrestling tournament, and he made the comment to me. He said, "Gosh, can you believe this is happening?" And I thought about it, and I mean this with 100% humility. But that was the plan, right? Like, that was the plan. So that was the goal. I appreciated the fact that nobody ever gave me anything. Again, a lot of people helped me, but nobody gave me anything. I mean, my dad was a barber, awesome guy, but it wasn't like we came from a bunch of money and had a bunch of power within the community. Like, it was a grind. I mean, it was a grind. I mean, doing a lot of free work just for opportunities, just for getting reps. I mean, probably some of that stuff, I mean, it comes at a cost. I mean, it does come at a cost. I mean, a lot of things maybe, that you're not at that maybe you should be with your, you're just chasing something. You're in full pursuit. And one thing I've kind of learned too, and I think I do a pretty good job, but I think I heard Tom Ryan talk about when you want to be the best at something, balance is it's not maybe a whole lot of balance there. So, I mean, I'm sure there were areas of my life that probably suffered as I tried to do this. But I remember sitting at the Big Tens in 2011, would that have been? Yeah, 2011 Big Tens at Northwestern. And I was doing some stuff for UWBadgers.com because I was doing PA for the Wisconsin Badger wrestling team. And that for the Big Tens that year, I was on UWBadgers.com, probably doing like a whip around coverage type thing, like now that I do Mattcast of the NCAAs. And I remember looking down and seeing Tim Johnson, Jim Gibbons, and Lee Kemp. And I very vividly remember standing up, watching them, just thinking to myself, that's really where I want to be. It's really where I want to be. And those guys are great. They're great. I mean, Jim and Tim, I'm super close with those guys. They're awesome. I mean, they're super supportive. I mean, that's another thing too. Super supportive. But I remember it was timing. It was timing again. I got the timing of this stuff. You can't even make it up. That happened in 2011. 2011 was also the first year that we had that live sports radio at the NCAAs. And that was the biggest break of my career. I was doing the live sports radio, and I don't remember how it all went down, but what I do remember was I met Jim Gibbons at the hotel that night. And I went up to him, I shook his hand, introduced myself, and said, my goal is to do wrestling with you. And next thing I know, Jim, Randy Lewis, and I are at some diner in Philadelphia until like 3, 4 in the morning talking wrestling. And there was like the timing. There was an opening at the Big Ten Network to do Mat Side reporting. And bam, I mean, that was it. And then, with the ESPN stuff, it was almost a decade. It was almost a decade. And that's okay. Because one thing that I think you can apply this to anything in life, and I think you got to really grasp this, is no means not now. You cannot let no rattle you. Because, again, going back to my faith, and this has been proven in my life several times, and I think I'm finally to the point where I fully accept it. If a door closes, it's okay. Like, it's okay. Don't let it get you down. Just keep moving forward, keep getting better, and it all works out. So, but yeah, getting to do the ESPN stuff and the Big Ten stuff, I mean, it is a dream come true, much like to this day, when I do an event, I stand outside the venue, look at it for about 20 seconds, thank God for the opportunity, and think back to being 11 years old and tell myself, you get to do this. I mean, it is the coolest thing ever. I wish everybody could experience what I feel when I get to do this, because it's my passion, and I love every minute of it. But we'll just keep on going.
I love the fact that you expected it. You expected it. it wasn't like, oh, I wish one day I could do this. No, you saw yourself doing it. And, we don't get in life what we want. We get what we expect, right? And
Sure.
you expected it. And I just love the fact that you just went after it, because not everyone goes after it in life.
Yeah, you have to go after it, but I will say this again. I had people helping me. Like I had people helping me. I mean, I just can't. I would have never gotten here alone. No way. Like
No.
impossible. It would not have happened. But the other thing I've learned also is, and I talk about this frequently just in conversations. I went for it and I worked for it. And when I said before, like, you get told no, you can't let it rattle you too bad, it can disappoint you. Okay. Like I allow myself to be somewhat disappointed. But the other thing I've learned is you've got to earn the right to be disappointed. You got to earn being disappointed. Okay. I mean, the example a wrestling coach told me this once and it really clicked. Wrestling fundraiser. It's a golf outing once a year. Guy shows up who golfs twice a year and hits a bad tee shot and he's disappointed. Like that kind of thing should disappoint Tiger Woods. Not a guy that golfs twice a year. Like, what are you talking about? You're disappointed. Much like, whether it's wrestling or from a career standpoint, like, did you do the work? Like, if you did the work and poured everything that you have into it and it didn't work out, then you can be disappointed. And disappointment's a real blessing because then it makes it sweeter when you're able to get to the top of the mountain. But you got to earn the disappointment too. And there have been times, in my career where I look at myself going, yeah, you really wanted to do this, but can you really be disappointed? Now, you just got to be honest with myself. Like, nah, you probably could have been doing this, that, and this. You didn't do it. I've had a few of those too. So it's everything I go back to goes back to wrestling. It just does. And I know you can use, a lot of sports as metaphors for life, but I remember I'm in Fond du Lac, Wisconsin right now. Okay. I just moved. I'm in Fond du Lac for about a month. Fond du Lac, Wisconsin, March of 1983 is where I wrestled for the very first time at the old Goodrich High School. And little did I know, as a 7-year-old kid walking in there that day as a first grader, little did I know what that day was going to do to my life. It's crazy. So I wrestled first grade through high school, didn't wrestle in college, wish I would have, but it's just life is one big wrestling match. I mean, it's just one big wrestling match. So I just kind of always go back to that sport and the lessons I learned. And I owe my life to this sport, no doubt.
Do you remember your first match?
Absolutely, 100%. So I show up there, and what I remember was I wrestled a kid named Seth Pilot.
Wow.
And Seth Pilot, I didn't remember exactly what I was doing. Like, I remember I towed the line and I didn't toe the line. And the referee was probably some high school kid, told me to put my foot on the line. And I was standing up straight, no stance. I don't believe I ever went to a practice. And my dad, maybe I'll ask my mom this question. My dad passed away about 7 years ago during the NCAAs at Cleveland in 2018. But I've never really asked my parents about this, and I need to. Like, why didn't I go to a practice? Like, but they take me to this tournament, and I mean, I'm standing up straight. Seth Pilot was a youth, like, he won, I think, we were in first grade. I think he, like, won the youth state tournament the year before. So he shows up. He's got a red headgear on. He's got the red Fondy Cardinal singlet on, awesome pair of Asics Red Tiger wrestling shoes. I think he had some knee pads. I show up in a white shirt. Remember the old Sears catalog?
Mm-hmm.
A pair of brown Velcro shoes on with shorts. I mean, I have no idea what I'm doing there. He pinned me in 10 seconds. I mean, I didn't know anything. Pinned me in 10 seconds. And I do remember the feeling of disappointment. Like, I didn't know exactly what happened, but I knew something happened that wasn't good. And I remember feeling like a little emotional about it. And then I wrestled twice that day. I had maybe a couple hours to watch wrestling. And then I wrestled for third and I won. And that meant everything to me. That third place white ribbon, which now is some kind of brown. I mean, that thing, that meant everything to me. And I remember this, and I don't know what this says about me, but you always hear people talking about, like, I hate to lose. I hate to lose. I love to win. I didn't like to lose, but I love to win to this day. And when I hear people say, like, oh, they hate to lose so bad, I like to win. Like, I like the feeling of winning. And I remember that was the first time I really felt it. And then I think the next week went to another youth tournament in Campbellsport, Wisconsin, just down the road. And I won that tournament and got a little medal. And I was hooked. Like, I was hooked because I think I with wrestling too, just recognized very early, like, I'm in control here. I mean, you're 7 years old. You kind of get like this. I can do this. I don't need everybody else here, and that really resonated with me too. I think, which is interesting because wrestling hangs its hat on being an individual sport, and thinking about being on this podcast and watching the phenomenal documentary Clash of Dynasties, which I just thought was off the charts good. But watching that documentary, what it also reminded me of is there's no greater team sport than wrestling. It's the biggest team sport there is.
Yeah.
I mean, you could argue both sides of that coin 100%. No question.
Well, we wanted to thank you for coming to our premiere, and
It was great.
And I know that you even gave up the announcing the Iowa State match that weekend and opening up the season. But let's get into some of the documentary stuff and transition into what you thought about that. And we'll do that right now.
We're here at the Clash of Dynasties premiere. I've got Shane Sparks here with me. Shane, how exciting is tonight? I mean, this is one of the greatest rivalries in high school sports history.
It's a great rivalry. It's a phenomenal crowd. The venue was great. I've seen all 4 parts of this documentary, and it is must-see. It is so powerful. What makes it so powerful for me, the wrestling, it goes without saying, you have 2 of the top teams in the country. They're, 35, 40 minutes apart, and there's so many different stories. I mean, there's so much off the mat that really plays into the story, but they did a phenomenal job. It's must-see, and to get to see these guys, just talking to Ryan Bertine, 2-time national champion, this is a who's who. And little-known fact, one of the main reasons, maybe the reason that the Cheesehead kicked off was because guys like Greg Irvis, Billy Barger, I believe it was Jim Jackson, Apple Valley, they all wanted to wrestle, and Scott Cleaver said, hey, I'll put a tournament on if you guys show up. They all showed up, and just an integral part of getting that tournament kicked off. So, I mean, Ohio wrestling's got deep roots, and those roots expand across the country. Tonight is a celebration of the great sport, and obviously St. Ed's and Walsh Jesuit. Yep. Hammer awesome. Time.
So what did you think was sort of the best time of the weekend? Like I said, you gave up announcing Iowa State to come to Cleveland and be the MC, the host of our premieres. What was that like? What was your trip like to Cleveland?
It was a couple of the best days I've ever had in this sport. I mean, you guys hit a home run in every aspect of it. Like I said there, from the venue to the documentary itself, to everybody that showed up and supported it. It was so fun. It was so fun. And the documentary itself, I mean, can't make some of this stuff up either. I mean, it's just incredible. All the moving parts, the different situations that happened. My favorite part, and again, I think it's just you get older in perspective. My favorite part of the weekend was still watching the guys interact with each other. I mean, that's the best part, because at the end of the day, we say it all the time, and it is the truth. It's about the people. It's about the relationship. Wrestling is the avenue, but it's not about the wrestling, right? I mean, it is, but it's not. So to watch guys that are now upper 40s, during that span, I mean, these guys are upper 40s to lower 50s. It's been decades. And the respect that everybody has for each other, between the two schools, and obviously on both sides with people that were teammates. I mean, that was a really cool thing to watch. And a lot of those guys had their families there. So it had to be really cool, because I would say this, when you look at those schools, like, you guys were living the dream. I mean, it doesn't get any better than that. So again, you guys were really lucky to get to do that and experience that level of competition where wrestling right around Cleveland there. I mean, it's everything. I mean, it's important there. I mean, TV stations are there. The place is sold out. The matchups. I mean, the matchups. And looking what's happened with half these guys, Olympians, NCAA champions, All-Americans. I mean, that was a really good time. I mean, I don't know if we'll see that again.
I appreciate it. Frank, you wanted to?
Yeah, it was something. And Shane, you did a phenomenal job. And I just want to say thank you again. The Q&A that we did and how you orchestrated it and how you facilitated it. One thing that I wanted to ask you, because you pulled me aside after the Q&A, because I told my story. And my story in Clash of Dynasties was basically a story of failure, of not achieving my goal, being ranked #1 in the state, like yourself, and, not, winning the championship, finishing second. And you had that same story, and you pulled me aside and we talked, at the premiere, and you told me a little bit about that story. Here we are now, and Ben was able to go back and actually find your state title match. So we're going to watch it here real fast. And then I've got a question for you after we watch the match.
I'll tell you right out of the get-go. I mean, learn how to beat a front headlock, for God's sake. Come on.
We're going to have you play-by-play it too while it's go.
Oh, God.
Well, you do the play-by-play, yeah.
Man. Yeah, first thing, I mean, get off your knees.
So that's Shane. You're in the blue, correct?
Yeah, I hit a nice Peterson roller there, and right here, I just didn't stay patient. Didn't stay patient enough. I should have stayed there. So, and I don't remember how many near fall points I got there. Probably, I think I only got 2.
You only got 2.
It seemed like 3 to me, but whatever. It is what it is. Yeah, it's I mean, right there, I preach about top wrestling. That was not good enough on top. But he was a really good kid. This is Rudy Ruiz, and he went on to wrestle at Stanford. Wrestled at Stanford. I think he won Greco that summer. He beat Jody Strickmatter, because I always tease Jody. I'm like, well, if you lost to him in Greco, Jody, God only knows when I would have done me. LOL. Very good guys. But yeah, he was very good. I think he made the back at that time, the Pac-10 finals. Made the NCAA tournaments. So he was really good. He was a good wrestler. I'd actually pinned him the year before, and then beat him the first tournament of the year. I want to say 6-2. And what I remember about this match as much as anything, looking back on it 30-some years later, was I didn't leave the venue. And it's kind of fitting, because I loved the, it was one of my goals, and I wanted to kind of experience it all day. And when I look back on it, we should have got out of there. I was exhausted. The week before, I think I was 10 pounds over. This is 1994, and I didn't have a real, with all due respect, I didn't have a great wrestling coach. Really good guy, but he wasn't a big, we didn't know how to do that stuff. Didn't understand nutrition, didn't understand a warm-up. My warm-up was horrible here. Who would have ever thought it would have been the warm-up that was huge? But I just didn't have, that kind of guidance. But, yeah, I mean, things were going good, and then it fell apart. It just fell apart at the end. And, that was another lesson I learned that day was, life's not always fair, and things happen. And, but this one was really hard. Again, it's just a high school wrestling match, but it meant everything to me at the time, but it meant way too much. My perspective, and it is, I was, an 18-year-old kid, but my perspective was a little out of whack, because this took me way, 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 way too long to come to grips with. And it's it all worked out the way it was supposed to. For somebody, what's that?
On the third period, right?
I think I was up like 6 or 7 points with like 40 seconds left. I mean, something like that. And they kept calling me for stalling. Like, I mean, so right here, I just got called for stalling there. I'm literally on a single leg on the edge, and I'm over it. But I'm on a single leg on the edge. I just got called for stalling. Like,
Yeah, it was a bad call.
and it happens. I mean, again, now that I'm older, it's like it happens. Bad calls happen, things happen, and you know, I mean, I just kept. Well, I remember this. I just got called again with like a second left or 2 seconds left, and I do remember when that happened. I remember my mind was done. I mean, I remember like almost like being dizzy. I mean, it was, and I hate to say this, but it's. I'm kind of checked out right now. I mean, I was rattled here. I think it's when I watched this match, I think it's pretty understandable why I was a little whatever, but I still like, I wish I would have still been able to say I kind of tossed it in there. I regret that. It is what it is. But yeah, things happen in this sport. I think another thing I love about it is this, you know, like anything, it can take it and give it away. You know what I mean? I mean, wrestling's one of those sports where as much as we love it, the reality is sometimes it'll take your heart out of you, shove it right down your throat. And that's kind of what that did to me. But it all worked out. Like it was all part of the story. It's the way I look at it.
Well, that was, and that was what you came up to me and you talked to me about, because I was talking about, it took me like 20 some years to get over my loss.
Yeah.
And you had said the same thing. So we were talking about that. But what I really wanted to learn from you today is, because for me, I know what it did for me. That loss was a gift. But what did you learn from not achieving your ultimate goal? And more importantly, how does it drive you today?
Yeah, I think what I learned specifically with that wrestling match is it wasn't that important. I mean, I think that's as important as it was in the scheme of my life. At that time, you're 18 years old, limited life experiences. I thought it was everything, and I did think it was everything, and it took me way too long to get over it. It was an unhealthy thing, but it makes you it keeps you hungry. I mean, it did, like you said, it's a gift. Like now that I'm older, like would I want to go through that again? Absolutely, I would. I would tweak some things if I could, because some of it, like I said before, just got a little dark. And again, it's a high school wrestling match. That's the other thing I remind myself. My favorite all-time college wrestler of all time, who I got to meet last November, is Chad Zapital from Iowa, 3-time Division I national finalist. Like that's big stuff. I mean, that's heavy. I mean, this was a high school wrestling match, but yeah, I think it's just those lessons of, you know, life's not always fair. You got to finish strong. Like whatever you do when you start it, you got to finish it. That's one thing. I think another big thing is just gratitude in the struggle. That's another thing. I think it's important to, you know, I go back to Tom Ryan. I think he's talked about intentional suffering. And I haven't suffered at a level that Tom Ryan has by any stretch, so I don't want to make that comparison. But in my own, you know, micro level, I like to suffer a little bit. To this day, I do. I like to suffer. I think it's good. I like to do hard things. I think it's, and it all goes back to wrestling. It all goes back to wrestling. I mean, last night I was at Planet Fitness doing a 20-mile ride on the bike. And with it being this time of year, it takes me back to those times wrestling. That's what I think back to. Like, and I was thinking to myself last night on the bike, I'm like, how great would it be to get to do that again? I mean, how great. I mean, if I'm a high school kid, and I'm of course recruiting. I think I got a kid last night that I think is going to wrestle. I mean, I'm always recruiting. I walked past this guy. I said, come over here. I said, you know what you need to do? Wrestle. And the guy that he was with wrestles. And he goes, I've been thinking about it. I go, you need to do it. And I told him, I go, it's going to be hard, but you need to do it. Like, this sport changes lives. It's hard. That's what I love about it. It's not for everybody. It's not for everybody, but it is hard, and it'll just make you a better person. There's nothing like, you know, Tim Johnson talks about it all the time. America needs more wrestling, the grit and the gumption of wrestling. It's so true. There's just something about this sport that for some of us, it just does, it's in our soul. No doubt about it.
Yeah, and I think, Shane, one of the things that you've talked about, and I don't know if you kind of coined it this way, but I like these little takeaways that I use in the business world as well, is like your 5 Ps, right?
Mhm. Oh, yeah.
Preparation, pace, physicality, purpose, and a
Yes.
little bit of paranoia, right? And everything you've talked about in that loss, right, has kind of helped you develop those 5 Ps, right? And so, uh, what can you tell us about that? How can you expand upon that? You know, are you out there, you know, spreading that message as well, talking about those 5 Ps?
Yeah, I try to, and I'll tell you this, Aaron, I probably got about 20 of them. I mean, I could, yeah, I got this. I'm going to go to my phone here real quick. Bear with me here. I'm not real good at technology, but let me find the notes here and see if I can find this. Let's see here. Here we go. Here we go. And I'll make this quick. But I got, in no particular order, purpose, preparation, pace, position, physicality, poise, paranoia, performance, persistence, precision, plan, patience, personality, people, perspective, perseverance, one of my favorites, pride, positivity, privilege, I like that one, pre-match, post-match, power, prowess, priorities, peace, pursuits, and then I love this one, pause, pray, proceed, and I don't know if I said it before. No, I think I did, perspective. I think that's probably my favorite one. When it's all said and done, you go back to perspective. I just love that word because it just gives everything a level set. But I just love that letter P. I don't know, remember how I started that. What I do remember was being in high school. I'd like being a wrestling match. Maybe it was 5-1. I'd always want to get like 2 takedowns. Back in that time, it was 2-point takedowns. So I always wanted to have like 4-1 first period. 4-1 first period, finish a period on top, okay? And I can remember second periods, guy would go on bottom, and I remember like when I was ready to get on top, I would tell myself like, you're not safe here. Like, you are not safe. You better turn him. You better ride him. You got to keep scoring points. And that's where a little bit of the paranoia, I mean, that's where the paranoia came in. And I think that, watching wrestling right now, and again, it's easy to call it. I mean, these are, a lot of the matches I do, these guys are, I don't know, 100 times better wrestler than I was, maybe 200 times. I mean, these guys are so elite and so good. But it's always one thing I think about when a guy like maybe just gives an easy escape. I'm just like, dang, like, I can't believe you would just give an escape point away like that. But now at the 3-point takedown, people might say, well, I'm going to give it up. No big deal. But someone's just going to get on his legs and score 3 more. So, but yeah, I like the letter P. It reminds me of, and you guys are, we're on the same age, Sesame Street. So when you'd watch Sesame Street, they would end the show with the letter of the day is P or whatever. And that's kind of where I thought about it. I'm like, if you can master the letter P in wrestling and quite frankly in life, yeah, you'll be good. Master the letter P. You'll be good.
Well, talking about that, and of course, we're the Dynasty Effect podcast, and the Dynasty right now is P, Penn State. Give us your thoughts on that. Obviously, your thoughts on who's going to take them down. Is it Oklahoma State? Is it Iowa? Is it Nebraska? Is it Ohio State? Who's going to take them down? Is it going to happen? When it's going to happen? And how is it going to happen?
Yeah, that's what they have done there is incredible. I mean, I believe it might be the best dynasty right now in anything. All college sports, all professional sports. I mean, they've won 12 of 14, I believe.
Yes.
I think they won 12 of the last 14 tournaments. Ohio State won in 2015, Iowa in 2021. Other than that, it's all Penn State. And I think, again, on the outside looking in, but you spend a little bit of time with these guys and you listen to them, they talk about just being grateful and getting better at wrestling. And it's not necessarily about the results. It's about, we're going to get better at wrestling today. And I think that is pretty remarkable when you can think that. Like, just get better today. Enjoy this. Like, it's supposed to be fun. It's supposed to be enjoyable. So let's work hard. They obviously have a great room, so much talent there. But I will tell you this. This is just how I'm wired. Like we just talked about before. They're not safe. They're not safe. I mean, some people look at me and be like, you're crazy. I don't believe that. I never will. What I love about this sport as much as anything else is you still have to do it. My opinion doesn't get you any points on the scoreboard. It doesn't help you at all. What I think about you doesn't matter. It's what you think about yourself. You have to go and execute it. And these are Division I wrestlers. You show up against Iowa or Oklahoma State or Nebraska, Ohio State, Michigan. You show up and bring your C+ game. Take some shortcuts. And I'm not insinuating they're doing this. I'm just talking about in general terms. Take some shortcuts and see what happens. It's kind of like the analogy I use is watching a baseball game. Guy in the major leagues is hitting 210. Oh, he sucks. Okay. Throw him a fastball down the middle. Mislocation on a fastball by 3 inches, and we'll see how bad he is. Like, these guys are all capable. So another thing, and people tease me about this stuff, and that's fine. I'm never really surprised. I'm really not. I mean, I said last year, and I wish I could find the clip. Trent Hidley and I were doing the Madcast coverage of the NCAAs. And I made the comments. I believe it might have been, it was either Friday night of the semis or it was the medal run on Saturday morning. And my quote was this: Trent, nobody, and I mean nobody, is safe here. And that includes Gable Steveson. Like, you're just never safe. So Penn State, yeah, I mean, it's going to be really tough to beat them. But with injuries, it's hard to win. That's the other thing. Sometimes they've had so much success, I think it gets lost on how difficult it is. Even for Penn State, it's hard to win. It's really hard to win. So, I don't make, another P word, predictions. I don't make predictions because I always said, like, when it comes to predictions, I don't know how a kid's girlfriend is. Like, how's his girlfriend? Oh, that would make a difference on how I thought maybe a kid would do. How are his relationships? How was his weight cut if he's cutting any weight? How did he sleep last night? Maybe he kinked his neck. I mean, there's so many things that go into winning high-level wrestling matches. You don't know. I always say, like, it's the circumstances of the day. I got to be better than you for the next 7 minutes. What does it mean moving forward? I have no idea. I'm not going to, I got to do it right now. And you're dealing with things. I'm dealing with things. It's about who's better for these 7 minutes on this particular day. That's really what it is. So again, hey, if somebody's got a gun to my head, am I going to pick Penn State? Probably. But what good does that do them? It doesn't do them any good. And they've done a really good job. Seems like they understand that because they just keep getting better and better and better. But I will say it again. They're not safe. In this sport, you've got to toe the line and do it. Period. End of story. Nobody's going to give you anything. You got to go take it.
And then talk about the sort of importance of the dual meets. You're the upcoming national duels official commentator. That's going to be a huge thing. How do you think that's going to go? And just the importance of dual meets versus a tournament.
I can't wait for this. I think it's the best thing that's happened to wrestling in the last 20, 30 years, maybe more. Dual meet tournaments. Steal line from Jim Gibbons. He says, dual meets are tribal. Like, people get behind dual meets. Look at the attendance. Like, look around the country at dual meet wrestling, all over the country. Shout out to Adam Hall at Utah Valley right now. I just saw some stuff on social media, what they're doing at Utah Valley. People get excited about dual meets. It's almost, I don't know if it's easier to follow, but people can get behind teams. People get behind teams. I love dual meet wrestling. I think the event in Tulsa is going to be spectacular. You got $1 million purse on top of that. Like, dual meet wrestling is so awesome because everything matters. Like, in a dual meet, you could be the guy that wins by 7 and quite frankly might be the disappointment. You can be the guy that loses by 14 and the freaking teammates will carry you off on their shoulders. Everything matters. Everything matters in a dual meet. I love dual meet wrestling. I love it. I love the individual national tournament as well. That's great. They're different. But dual meet wrestling, when I'm doing big time dual meets on the Big Ten Network, there's just nothing like it. The energy, a lot of times, the matchups, it's, top 5 guys. I mean, just and that goes back to, watching Clash of Dynasties too, watching those dual meets. I mean, those were so good. So many great matches. I mean, I'm going off of memory. I think one of those matches and one of those duels was it Heskett versus Rovats? I mean, just some of the matchups in these dual meets, it's like, it can go either way too. I love dual meets. I really love dual meets when I don't know who's going to win. I love calling matches like I don't know who's going to win. Sometimes I got a pretty good feeling, and that's fine, but I like it when it's like this thing is up for grabs, and who's going to do something tonight that they basically become legendary. I mean, you look at some of the great dual meets over history. You can become a legend based on what you do a dual meet. I mean, look at Anthony Cassar. Probably the biggest hype dual meet I ever did. That was Ohio State's at Penn State in Rec Hall. I believe it was Super Bowl weekend. And what year was it? Was it 2018? It was so hyped. So hyped. And Anthony Cassar beat Colin Moore. I believe Moore might have been ranked number 1 in the country then. I mean, it was just, that place was insane. And Ohio State was favored. Penn State found a way to get it done. Anthony Cassar became a Penn State legend that night. You have to be a legend forever. I mean, it was incredible. But again, you got to go out and do it. And he did it. So, yeah, you won't find too many bigger fans of dual meet wrestling than me. I think it is absolutely great for the sport. Great for the sport. It is a non-negotiable. To me, non-negotiable. There's got to be, this is a dual meet championship, and it should be celebrated accordingly. It's a big deal. This has got to be a big, big deal.
Now, do you think or feel like the NCAA should have the dual meet, team national championships and not just the national duels where everybody's in it, or the top 16 teams are in it, like some states are have been doing and or are getting ready to do? Do you think that Division I should do that, or do you think that that's too much?
No, 100%. I mean, if you gave me the magic wand right now and said you get to make one change in wrestling, it's that we have a dual meet championship. No doubt about it. No doubt about it. Because I think the other thing it does is it just gets more people involved. It's another reason to celebrate the sport.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the other big thing. It's another reason to celebrate the sport. And I think it'd be huge. And I think this will be great in Tulsa. It's a start. And, they got the majority of, all the good teams anyway. Everybody's, all the big hitters are there minus Penn State, which is fine. But, yeah, I think dual meet championships from a marketing and promotional standpoint would provide a big shot in the arm. So that's going to be great. It reminds me, along the same lines a little bit. I got that from Jay Robinson. Jay Robinson always talked about celebrating the sport. And that's why I like the 4, at the individual tournament, the 4 trophies too. That went away. Now they brought it back, luckily. But I mean, if you are a school that can celebrate the sport, recently Nebraska, for instance, they gave rings for taking second place. And I'm all about it. I'm all about it. Maybe I'm just the older I get, maybe I'm not as like, you can't be doing that. You got to only give it. I love the fact that they're celebrating the best season in program history. Who's it hurting? Like, really? I mean, who's it hurting? It's giving these guys you're celebrating a program, a wrestling program within your university, and I loved it. Find reasons to celebrate the sport. And I think these dual meets are going to go a long way in doing that.
And I think what's great too is what you're doing with Flow and the high school scene.
Yeah.
the Flow Wrestling matches. I'm going to show a little video of that dual meet that that you commentate.
We're looking for the best high school wrestling duel in America.
High school dual meets are so fun. You got 2 of the top 5 teams in the country. You can smell the wrestling here. And I'm telling you what, it's going to just keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger and better and better and better. Flow Wrestling Night in America, thank you for watching.
So what do you think what matches are you commentating this year for high school, and who do you think that big dual meet, that number 1 and 2 is going to be?
Yeah, so Flow Wrestling Night in America, we start next week. So I can tell you this, Ben, this is kind of I don't know if this is good, but this is how I think. I always go back to wrestling. Quite frankly, I haven't really looked. Because it's not the next thing. Like, the next thing is like, it's like a wrestling match. I tell myself, like, the most important broadcast of my life is the next one. And I keep a little bit of an eye out in the front, but not a lot. I'm kind of zoned in on one, and then I more, turn the page and zone in on another one. I could probably develop some better practices on that. But I know we're doing like Bishop McCourt. We'll do Bishop McCourt. That's one that I remember, Bishop McCourt, and I believe at Wyoming Seminary, we did that one last year. There'll be some great high school matches. We're doing one in Wisconsin where it's going to be, I believe, Arrowhead High School, which is where Ben Askren went to high school. I believe they're on that schedule. Minnesota's wrestling somebody else. So it's going to be 2, high school meet and a college dual meets. That'll be a lot of fun. That'll be a great atmosphere. But it's a great schedule. Flow Wrestling's done a ton in promoting the sport and putting the spotlight, in this case, on high school wrestling. So it's going to be great. I'm looking forward to it. This season's, we're off and running. Just did the NWCA All-Star Classic, some great matches there. And, national duels less than 2 weeks away. Big Ten schedule will be here, we'll be here before we know it. So it's time to go.
Well, thank you. I think we're getting towards the end of our show, but we do have a little segment we like to do called Fact or Fiction, and we'll get into that.
Yeah, Shane. So we've got a fact or fiction. Couple questions here. Penn State versus Iowa. Is this the greatest rivalry in college wrestling history?
Is it what do you mean by that? Like, as far as how often they've wrestled?
No. Like, them together wrestling right now. Do you feel that they're the greatest wrestling rivalry in history, or is it somebody else in the past? A few other trees in the park.
I mean, this has got to be a good one. Yeah, this ranks right up there with the best of them. I mean, I remember, years back, Minnesota and Iowa, that was really good. But I would say for an extended period of time, I mean, Iowa, Penn State, this is the key matchup, for most of the time. This is the key matchup. So I would say, I guess I'd say fact right now. But you got some other teams. I mean, Oklahoma State, what David Taylor is doing, that is going to be really interesting. And, then you got a handful of teams around the country. I mean, look at Virginia Tech right now. I think that's a team to keep an eye on. I mean, with the ACC, Chris Ayers at Stanford, they're really good. Virginia Tech, Pat Popolizio at NC State, to name a few. Brian Smith at Missouri. Big Ten schools. I mean, wrestling's got some really good things going on right now. Yeah. But yeah, that's a great one. It's hard to debate Penn State, Iowa.
Love it. Next one. The 3-point takedown. Has it permanently changed the game or strategy of college wrestling?
Yeah, I mean, it definitely has. I didn't love it when it first came out. Yeah. But I grew to like it. I think the biggest thing that they might have to change is there's got to just be something more on the stall calls, because when you're up by 3, you just can, a stall call or 2, it's not going to hurt you, So I think there's got to be an adjustment on how stalling is is called and or scored in conjunction with a 3-point takedown. But I love, you got the 3-point takedown, but you got a 4-point near fall too. So, it's one great thing about this sport, and I guess you could say it's about all sports, but what's your path to victory? Like, what's your path to victory? So, those are tactical, strategic decisions within a wrestling match that are important.
Last question, Shane. Gotta ask it. Who's on your Mount Rushmore of wrestling? They could be high school or they could college. Who's your Mount Rushmore?
Mount Rushmore for me. So this is like a joke with me and some friends of mine. I always say my Mount Rushmore, because you said, who's my Mount Rushmore?
Your Mount Rushmore.
Your Mount Rushmore might have 4 heads.
Yeah.
Mine's got 5.
Okay.
Yeah, 5 heads. I talked about before, they're just different things, but I mentioned, Chad Zapple was my favorite college wrestler.
Mm-hmm.
He was my favorite college wrestler, but I think, Jordan Burroughs, what he's been able to do on the mat, off the mat, and when he began his success when there was a real lull in USA Wrestling, and USA Wrestling needed a hero, and he's carried that flag for over a decade. Like, Jordan Burroughs is definitely on it. John Smith is on it. No question about it. Dan Gable is on it. For me, Cale Sanderson's on it. There's 4. I think those 4 are, I don't want to say obvious, but I think you get those 4 on most people's Mount Rushmore. So then the question becomes like, who's the 5th? Who's the 5th Mount Rushmore? Who gets on? And, man, who would I go with? Man, that's a really good question. And actually, I've thought about this a lot. It kind of matters on what day you get me on how I would go with this next one. But Gable Steveson was pretty darn good. I know he just came off that loss last March. But Gable Steveson, at least in my mind, from the standpoint of, like, in his prime, you got to win one match in a particular weight class. Give me Gable Steveson at heavyweight, and I'd sleep well at night.
I love it.
And I know he doesn't have the medals as, obviously Bruce and the career he's had, but it just kind of depends. These are always fun debates because, it depends really how you define certain things within the debate, but it's just good banter.
Yeah, it's subjective, right? It's like, who's on yours, right?
Yep.
You talk about the Chad Zapple. I grew up wrestling in the Edinburgh University wrestling room. That was where our club team was at. And we had the college wrestlers that were coaches, and like Sean O'Day, who was Edinburgh's first national champion. I loved an ankle pick, and he was a stud with the ankle pick. And so, like, Sean O'Day might be on my Rushmore. And shout out to Sean O'Day. So it's super subjective for everybody, and love your feedback and you sharing, and the Chad Zapple reference is great as well. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, he was a great wrestler. I remember I saw Chad Zapple the first time I saw Dan Gable. Talk about, it was another one of those really pivotal moments in my life. I just got my driver's license. I was 16 years old, March of 1992. Big Tens were in Madison, and those Iowa teams were loaded. It was, that I'm going off of memory. It was Chad Zapple versus Matt Hanutke. He was a 4-time All-American at Wisconsin. That was 118. Then you had Terry Brands and Tom Brands. Terry wrestled, I think, Dan Flood from Wisconsin. Tom, Joey Gilbert, maybe. Then you had the Steiners. Then you had Tom Ryan. I don't remember if, that team. I remember at those Big Ten championships, Kevin Randleman and Ohio State and Bart Schelsvig in Iowa. That place was up for grabs. It was all hell breaking loose in that match. I remember it. You had Russ Hellitson, was from Stoughton, Wisconsin, which is right by Madison. He's in the corner. Gable's out there. Gable, I just remember. I remember watching Chad Zapple warm up in in not the tunnel, but out in the concourse, whatever. And I was in awe. And I remember just staring at him, praying that he would just look at me for a half a second.
Yeah.
And it was really cool because I've been doing this for a long time, and I've been so fortunate to meet so many people. I mean, I've gotten to meet a lot of great, great wrestlers, but I never met him. And meeting him, I mean, hell, I'm almost 50. He's probably 50. He's probably 55 years old if I had to guess. You know, I mean, close to it. And I thought Chad Zappital was just the best. I mean, I absolutely loved Zappital. And I remember seeing Dan Gable that day as well. And I've formed a relationship with him. I mean, if you would have told me that day in 1992, like, yeah, you know, in 30 some years from now, you'll get to know these guys and call them friends, I would have been like, I don't know how this is going to go, but I'll sign up on this immediately. It's been a great ride. And like I said before, I owe this sport everything. And it's the people in it. It's guys like you guys that I just love what you guys are doing. Yeah, Clash of Dynasties, as I've said before, that is must see. I mean, that is must see. It's awesome.
Appreciate it. Appreciate having you on, Shane. We can't thank you enough. And I think the last question is, what is the future for Shane? What are the things you haven't done that you still want to accomplish and get to the top? I mean, are you calling the Olympics in 28? You know, what's going through your mind? What's left?
Yeah, I think with this, you know, I mentioned the timing before. I mean, there's things I want to keep doing what I'm doing. It's kind of like, that's another thing that I've learned. Like, really focus on, sometimes you got to be careful chasing stuff. You know, you got to stay focused on where you're at. It's kind of like dance with the girl that you brought to the dance. You know what I mean? So between the Big Ten stuff, you know, doing some stuff for ESPN and, you know, I'm going to start a podcast here pretty soon. So I got to execute those things. That's great. I mean, if I'm able to do that, I'll be, you know, super happy. Would I, you know, turn some of those opportunities down? Absolutely not. I mean, right now, Jason Knapp does the Olympics. He's a pro's pro. He's an awesome guy. I've always been very careful on, you know, such a fine line on, you know, there's a way to do things. I mean, you know what I mean? So I'll tell you this, I'm never going to like go behind somebody's back or step over somebody. It's just not how I roll. And it's that philosophy's worked for me up to this point. But yeah, I mean, someday would I love to call the Olympics? Heck yeah. I mean, absolutely. But yeah, just keep doing what I'm doing and just, you know, always room to improve. Every single broadcast, it's like a wrestling match. You got to keep getting better, be self-critical, details. I mean, it's really, you know, broadcasting is such a dance. It's such a craft, and I got a long way to go. I mean, I'm hoping my best days are ahead of me. I'm hoping in, you know, 5 years, I listen to myself now and go, man, you just weren't very good. You know, you got to just keep getting better. And that's what makes it fun. It's that P word, the pursuit. And I will tell you this, every broadcast I do, I show up thinking it's going to be perfect. Like, this is the day. It's like you go to the, you know, the dog track or whatever, and you got the, you know, the dog's like running around, and he's got that, I don't even know what it is, like a piece of fur or something they put in front of him. And he's chasing that thing down. He can smell it. He can taste it if he sticks his tongue. It's right there. And you know he believes it because he's given it max effort. But he doesn't quite ever get it. And that's how I look at broadcasts. But when I show up, I think it's going to happen. But, you know, I think I'm at 1,327 consecutive broadcasts with a mistake. But one day we're going to get that little piece of fur. Someday.
Shane, real fast. I want to ask you this before we jump off. Do you still evaluate your broadcasts? Like, do you watch your performances and evaluate yourself? Do you?
Absolutely. Okay. Oh, yeah. Yeah. And it's interesting because normally, I mean, it's one thing that's funny. Again, I go back to P again. Pressure. Pressure really changes everything, I think, in anything. And it's just becoming comfortable in the pressure. So, like, for example, I'll watch a broadcast sometimes when I'm just watching it, I'm just, you know, relaxed and chill. My mindset's different. So there'll be times where I'll be watching and I'll just be like, how did you miss that? Like, how did you miss that? I'll give you one. Last year, first broadcast of the year, Stanford and Iowa City, first of the year, and I'm ramped. And that's one thing that I try. I like being ramped. but I'm better as a broadcaster if I'm not so ramped. But I love it. There's a bathroom right outside of Carver Hawkeye, right outside when you or outside the competition floor. Every time I go to Carver, I go in that bathroom. I'm in there by myself, put my tie on. It's kind of like getting in the zone. I put my tie on and I look myself. I do this pretty much every broadcast, but the one in Carver is always the same bathroom. And I just look into the mirror and look as deep into my eyes as I can. And I'm like, I'm like, can you believe this? Like, you get to do this. You get to do this. Now let's go out. It's like I basically give myself a pep talk. And I'm so gall darn ramped. I should probably quit doing that. But I am so fired up. I mean, I walk out there, and then it's funny because from a broadcast standpoint, I wrestled at 103. I was always first. Always first. So I'll be sitting in Carver or any match, but Carver's big. I'm sitting in there, national anthem. Ben, you were lightweight. You went first too, right?
Yeah, all the time.
You hear the national anthem as a 103 pounder. It does. It's like, this is the best song ever. National anthem plays. And then back when I wrestled, it was you put the headgear on. So now national anthem's playing and I'm ramped. And I always pray during the national anthem for just peace. And I always pray for peace and focus, like calmness, focus, help me out here. So then the national anthem gets done. And just like back in high school wrestling, I put the headgear on. Now I put on the headset. It's the same thing. And it literally makes me feel like we're going out there. So I am charged up. I don't think it's ever going to change. So last year we're doing Stanford, Iowa, and my intro is alongside national champion wrestler and coach. I never said his name. I never said Jim's name. Now, I think they might have put a font up there where if you watched it, I have to go back and watch it. I know it was a mistake. Maybe if you watched it, it would be like, well, clearly that was intentional because what idiot would forget to do that, right? But I remember watching it thinking to myself like, wow, you didn't even say his name. And I had to tell him, I just told myself like, Shane, you got to try to come down. But I always, the time I get nervous is when I'm not nervous.
Mm-hmm.
I like being nervous. You got to have those nerves. But again, like anything else, just like a wrestling match, you probably got to keep it in a zone. You don't want it. It's like the paranoia thing. Paranoia is great. A teaspoon of it, not a cup, not a cup. It's like a recipe. Recipe calls for a teaspoon of salt. Teaspoon of salt, great. Cup of salt, you ruin the whole thing. Paranoia, teaspoon good, cup not good. Me being ramped up, teaspoon good, cup not good. I mean, it's just, it's a little bit of crazy in here. A little bit of crazy between these ears.
No, I would say don't stop, getting ramped up. Keep doing it because that's what's gotten you here. But the fact that you keep reviewing and you have that awareness to keep going back and seeing those little things to make those changes and you're working on those things. But man, Shane, that's what the people love. That's why you are helping to grow this sport. Guys like you, and people are tuning in to listen to you and to hear your takes. And you talked about the MatCast stuff with you and Trent. I was sick that whole week, and I just locked myself in the basement watching. I was like, this is the greatest week to be sick. And sat in the basement and I watched MatCast the whole time, and you guys crushed it. Every session, every day, every match. It was awesome, nonstop. Both of you guys did an amazing job. And that's what you are growing the sport. Guys like yourself, don't stop doing what you're doing and continue to keep building and building and building upon, what got you here, man. And, like you said, just like a little teaspoon of paranoia, don't let it, not too much. I'm always talking about it to our guys about being a little bit paranoid.
Yes.
And because, that's what helps drive you. But we can't thank you enough, Shane, for everything that you're doing, for being on the podcast, for coming to the opening, and for more importantly, what you're doing for the sport as a whole. The community so grateful for you and everything that you're doing, man. So kudos to you. Hats off to you.
Thank you, man. Appreciate
Yeah,
it.
this has been
Yeah, man.
awesome. I mean, I could talk to you guys serious. I could talk to you guys. What is today? Tuesday. I could talk to you guys about wrestling to probably Saturday, 6,
Right.
7 o'clock at night. I love this. The fact that you guys called me to come on means a ton to me. It's super humbling. And I love being a part of this. Going back to a year ago at the premiere with the Clash of Dynasties. Appreciate what you guys are doing. I mean, people got to watch this, and I'll continue to shout on how you got to watch this Clash of Dynasties, because it just was so deep. It was deep. There was just so much to it. And I know that's a long time ago, but the impact of that time between those two programs still resonates today. But I will say this one more time: this sport, people got to get involved in it. It will change your life. Wrestling, it's one of one, no doubt about it.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Thanks for having take time and being on our podcast.
This was great. Thanks again.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Shane.
Thank you all for being a part of the episode. Make sure you check out the Dynasty Effect on all your platforms, but also make sure you check out the Clash of Dynasties docuseries, which you can find more information at www.clashofdynasties.com. Thank you for joining us, guys. Aaron, Frank, all the best. Have a great week. Talk to you guys soon.
See you guys.
The story needs to be told just for the fact that it was a great time for high school sports. It really was.
You got the bad boys here and you got the good guys here. And then they went at it for 10 years.
It was a strong narrative with a good arc to it. And I think people could see that it wasn't going to be replicated anytime soon.
Look back on it
like you're doing a podcast on it right now.
like that's how big it was, and that's what I wanted to be a part of.
At the end of the day, it was trying to help kids become their best selves at a really high level. And so from that sense, it's a story that's very American.
I think that's a good way to explain it.